about 14 miles away in a town called Warrington. And prior to that, my kind of career path has been largely in branded areas. I worked for a chemical company when I first left school. I left school I didn't go to university. I went into the chemical industry and did studying while I was in employment, if you like. But I quickly fell out of love with wearing a white lab coat, and I got into the sales and marketing areas of a business called Bass Brewers. And Bass are a huge brewer. They're now owned by other companies, but at the time they were one of the leading UK brewers. I got into sales at that time. I went up to Scotland and worked in Scotland for several years. Came back down to the UK and joined Coca-Cola and Schweppes. So I remained within the drinks industry, but I went away from alcohol and into the soft drink market. And then in that time at Coca-Cola and Schweppes, I started getting into marketing and into brands marketing. And then I did some trade marketing with them and moved to a company called Kodak, which I'm sure you've all heard of, when single-use cameras were becoming very popular. And I became a brand manager for single-use cameras, which were recyclable. They were being used very popularly at the time, before the onset of the digital era. I then moved to Reebok and spent 7 years at Reebok, working in trade marketing, brands marketing, and in licensing. And then I was reading my local rugby paper, like Paul, big fan of the game, and I was on a trip to a conference, and there was a job there at Warrington. I went for the job as head of commercial and was fortunate enough to get that job and spent 6.5 years there. And then 4 months ago I joined St Helens, arguably one of the biggest brands in the game, and for the last 4 months I've been trying to understand how we can better fit into this new stadium that the team have been in for about a year now. Some of you may notice, or you may not have noticed yet, but you will do later on, that the markings on the pitch are actually for football, or for soccer. And the reason is, we are a brand.
Can everybody hear? Okay. Do we need the microphone?
Yes.
Use the microphone, yeah?
Okay. How's that? No? Hello? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So the pitch outside is marked for football. The reason being, the Rugby League season lasts from February through till September, and then the grand final is in October. But that only consists of round about between 14 and 18 home games a season. Now, you wouldn't buy a business and only use it 18 times a year, or a warehouse and only use it 18 times a year. Nowadays, as we know, we all have to have nice stadiums, nice facilities to attract more spectators, to attract more spend at the club, to maintain the environment in which we work in, and also to give guys like Paul a happy experience when they're here and give them a good facility to watch the game in. So we have to find ways of maintaining that revenue income. And one of the ways we're doing it is tonight. It's the first of several games where Liverpool Football Club, their under-19s are playing in a tournament called the Next Gen Series. They're playing against a team called Rosenborg tonight here, and they're also playing against Chelsea on Sunday in the under-21s tournament, and then they're playing on the 28th against Borussia Dortmund. There is another fixture to be arranged in January against Inter Milan. So we've got some nice diversification, if you like, because we're able to attract an audience who wouldn't normally come to the rugby to come and watch the round ball game, and hopefully when they get here and they're sat in the stands and they're watching the game, they'll think this is quite a nice stadium to come to, it's easy to get to, it's got easy amenities and facilities, maybe we'll come and watch a rugby game. What we've got to do as a club is try and capture those people, get their data, get their details, and somehow communicate with them at a later date to try and attract them to come to the rugby as well. So if you're wondering why we're set up for soccer out there, that's the reason why. Okay, so on with the presentation about the club here. Basically, I'm going to run through a very quick agenda, but I'm going to give you an opening video as well. Are there any rugby league fans in the room? Raise your hand if there are. Just one. Don't believe it. Okay, well it's just as well, I'll show you the video so that you'll see the type of game that rugby league is. Rugby league is the second biggest viewed team sport at a league level on UK Sky Sports TV. So after football, the biggest viewed game on TV at a club level is rugby league. Okay, so it's very popular in that case. It's played largely in the north of the country, but there is expansion going on in the south of France. There's a team in Perpignan called the Catalan Dragons. There's a team in London called the Broncos, and there's expansion going on all the time. And at a grassroots level, the game is growing in lots of different countries. It's very popular in Russia, it's popular in Canada, it's growing in lots of areas now. And from a TV perspective, 80% of the hours of rugby league are watched in the Middle East area now, and that's to do with the TV rights.